Hello and welcome everybody back once again to the GT3 Wednesday West Coast here at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Idino Ferrari. I'm Mike Noss, and joined with me in the booth tonight is none other than Segar Bakshi. Segar, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Mike? Thank you very much for having me again for another wonderful round here at Trackalicious. Man, it sure was an exciting round at the Red Bull Ring. Do you think we're going to see the same kind of excitement here tonight?
I certainly do. It's going to be an absolute melee down to the end just due to the nature of the format tonight. It's going to be some pretty short races. I think 2 20-minute sprints that we are going to be having, or excuse me, it's 1 45-minute race tonight where the drivers are basically just going to be all out to unleash it. One and done. Wait, am I also? Yes, I am correct on that. And then dual.
You're correct.
Yes, as we have it a little bit different this season, actually, as it is going to be split into 2 different ones. My apologies. The 45-minute race this week. It was 2 20-minute races last week. So we have already are messing things up here. You gotta love to see it. Hashtag blame Mike. Just want to say welcome everybody. Kali already dropping a sub. Thank you so much. We had a stream, well, just about 30 minutes ago. Big thanks to Josie Q for throwing that one on Syntho Drive. Was amazing. And I wasn't doing too great. Carson picked up a podium, but I guess same could be said for the team principal over here that didn't have the greatest results either, but that's neither here nor there.
Sometimes you roll a 5, sometimes you roll a 20, but, you know, at the end of the day, it is good fun. That was more excitement than I could have ever imagined watching an AI race, but when you have a little bit of stake in the game, it makes it all that much more entertaining to watch and be a part of because you're actually interacting with the content. Syntho Drive, if you're not familiar with it, go ahead and try to find a team to be a part of, or at least find a team to root for, because you got some of your local favorites here as your drivers as well in the standings.
You can root for me if you want. It's not a great choice. I have 1 race win under my belt, but it seems like I haven't done much after that. But anyways, here we have tonight is going to be a pretty solid grid. 32 cars on the field here for the Wednesday West Coast Championship, and it's got quite the variety again of manufacturers. You're loving to see the diversity on the grid here tonight. And speaking of, why don't we pop on down briefly after a word from our calendar. Here's our calendar that we, of course, have. GT4 Rookies is going to be this Monday. All of these championships that I am going to be mentioning are available on SimGrid, link in chat. GT4 Open coming up as well on the Mondays. We have our Street Stock Championship for iRacing and the Wednesday West Coast. That's what we were just talking about. And, of course, the Wednesday, or what we're doing tonight in Wednesday Syntho Drive, which we had prior. 8:30 p.m. is going to be the Superlight Formula for Eastern Time, as well as the Spa-Francorchamps Road to the SRO Community World Challenge coming up on June 29th. One every month. It's going to be a 6-hour enduro, and you can qualify for the full World Championship series they have. And, of course, our GT3 Championship to boot. That is going to be on Sundays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are going to be up next at Indy. Now, also our Patreons, thank you guys so much, and all of our Twitch subs and everything like that. Now down to the action.
And if last week was any indication of what we're going to see here today, we're going to be up for a ton of excitement. The one thing I am curious about, though, is with this change from the 45-minute change to the 45-minute sprint race, is how aggressive are the drivers going to be, and what will their strategies be, as there is a mandatory pit stop?
Yeah, and that's going to be a pretty limiting factor here with tire wear. It is quite the twisty, turny track. 19 corners, 8 to the right and 11 to the left. 3 miles total. That's a whopping 4.9 kilometers, where you can see here these drivers are going to be clambering over curbs as well as gravel patches if they're not too careful. Giovanni Wee, who we saw, well, didn't quite see, but in free practice did have quite a bit of pace. 9/10, though, is the gap to our current pole sitter, Ricardo Rivera, who is also on an absolute flyer thus far, heading into Sector 3, down into the Ravazzas. This is going to be a pretty decent overtaking opportunity if you have the commitment come race time. Down into second gear, getting good rotation, clip that inside curb, run wide, use as much of the track. You paid for it, you might as well. And again, using all of the advantage there and punching it now. And down into what is going to be the final corner, this slight little right-hander. You blink and you miss it. But of course that is there because of the MotoGP chicane. That is the reason that corner is a corner.
Yeah, and speaking of Ricardo Rivera, he is leading this championship right now with a 1-for-1 and his 62 points to boot, driving that McLaren 720S. I'm expecting him to do great things here tonight as long as he gets that clean air that he had last time. And in P2, we have Mattia Porta, and in P3 we have Jake Wells rounding it out.
The young Jacob Wells, the 13-year-old prodigy. He's absolutely been smashing it. In case you were curious, Sagar, he is not actually 13 years old. He is just, it's just a meme that I kind of started for no reason whatsoever. The young Jacob Wells.
Oh, that's funny. And all three of those drivers actually driving McLarens. Conspiracy? I think not.
You never know. McLaren's going to be quite a good car here tonight. We can take a look at our BOP that we have as well. It has received a whopping plus 19 kilograms. That is how broken it is in reality. But of course, the LFM BOP has brought things back down into reason. The Lamborghini getting minus 2 kg, minus 5 for the Porsche, and a few others getting some minor changes as well, but nothing too major overall.
And interestingly enough, no changes to the lovely Lexus lady, my favorite as always. Glad to see that she went untouched this round. Not necessarily one of the best cars on the grid, but it is good at certain things. But passing here to Imola will be sure to be a challenge for any Lexus drivers out here.
Absolutely, and the Lexus is going to be quite good in a straight line, which will have that advantage down into the first chicane, where you can be getting quite good overtaking opportunities if you are going to be confident enough into the infamous Tamburillo. Now we're going to be seeing these drivers come down to here. Jake Wells managing up into third position for right now, 6.5 tenths off of pole. Ricardo Rivera still posting quite a solid time at this current moment, with time improving as well, a 141.1 versus Jake's 141.7. Jake, though, improving in the track, rubbering in every moment, and it's a full-on free-for-all qualifying, but this will be the last lap these drivers have. Well, minus a few.
Wow, look at those times. Porta slaps down a 141.2 to boot, although Rivera has that time in his pocket. Then you got Moss with a 141.3. These guys are blazing out here in the top three. 141.7, 141.8 for the next two, and then the 42s are being withheld from Cryos back.
Yeah, and Giovanni Wee here, the Jamaican driver, up into P8. I thought there was a little bit more time on the boards there for him, but he will have one more attempt of a flyer. Now coming into the final sector, these drivers are no longer going to be able to set a lap. Curtis Rustin decides to practice his pit entry. Very wise decision. What will Alex Freeman do here? He's 8 tenths up. I doubt he's going to be practicing his pit entries here. Looking at P20 at the moment, now coming around the final corner to the line. It's going to be a decent gain in positions. It is going to be up to P12. A nice 8-place improvement. And my goodness, that's going to be Neo Kabuki on the podium 5 months in a row. That's almost a year. Thank you so much, Neil, for your continued support.
Nice. Gotta love that support.
Welcome to the admin team, Neil. I guess that's the other thing we should say. Our newest Trackalicious admin, Neil Kerbal, a welcome member.
Welcome, Mr. Kerbal, and thank you very much for handing off that team to me. Appreciate you. I wish we were in better shape. But look at the top standings. That Mr. Rivera just dropped down another best lap time, his 140.7 being his personal best. So throwing that gauntlet down for sure and showing his stride.
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone's going to be able to best him at this moment, as we have Moss here coming to the line, and it is going to be no improvement whatsoever for Moss. Terekov also no improvement behind that. Eric Gakosian looking at a 10th here. Is it going to be enough to gain a position? It's going to be close. Looking at P19. Can he move up here into 18th potentially? And he is up to 18th there. A very small margin between those three drivers, Anthony Camacho, Jace Wright, and Eric the Boss Gakosian. That is going to be the end now of Quali and into the one race that we have here tonight. 45 minutes on the clock with one mandatory pit stop ahead of us, and the action isn't far away.
And curious, Gukasian was in P5 in the standings. I'm very surprised to see him so far down on this track here today. Perhaps he thinks he's going to make up his positions out on track rather than in qualifying, which is a bit of an interesting strategy to say the least.
Yeah, most certainly is. Now we have a new feature that we're trying here tonight. Bear with us, chat, as I hope that this works, but let's give her a shot as we have it. Let's start off our grid rundown and hope that it works. As we see, West Coast Wednesday, lovely. And starting off on pole position, it is going to be Ricardo Rivera in that Puerto Rico E-Racing Club with Mattia Porta Company, the Italian stallion on home soil, next to Kevin Moss here, the Jamaican, coming up in row 3 for the 8-2-3. Jake Wells going to be in P4 with the likes of Kuzaterikov Company in 5th in the 627 BMW. Phil Criotti is 6th quickest here tonight in the 81, with Dan Brace coming up close behind in the BMW car as well. Giovanni Wee next to him, the Jamaican, in the number 876 machinery, with the likes of Raymond Pierce behind in the BMW. The BMW seeming a favored car up at the front grid here. Potts Weaver Company, though, in the McLaren, rounding out your top 10. We got Reen Gotson in P22 with Alex Freeman Company in 12th. What did I say? 20th. In 12th with Kyle Hirsch in P13. Curtis Rustin coming home in 14th position with the likes of Professor Chronotis in P15, the number 42. We have Austin Carter behind him in P8. Again, another BMW, but down a little bit further here. And next to him will be Patrick Duo in the Ford Mustang GT3. Eric Gakasian, the Armenian driver, coming home in the AMG in P18 here tonight, with Jace Wright Company in the number 1 machine in P19. Anthony Macho Man Camacho in the S&B Racing in P20, and rounding out your top 20 with Philip Lee Company in the 505 Luck of the Irish car, with Julius Tin next to him in P22. Richard Gola, 23rd quickest, with Anthony Kelly in with Anthony Kelly, there we are, in 24th in the number 7, with Christian Julian in P25, the number 12 Lexus. Anthony Lombardo, 26th quickest in the 256, the American driver, next to Devin Anthony in the number 52, again in a Ford GT3. Neil Kerbel coming home in 28th, with Joe Fias in P29, the Argentine driver, with Yeager Karu in P30. Spady Budd going to be coming home here in P31, and rounding out the back of the grid is going to be Jake Terrell. It was almost timed perfectly. Almost had it. That's
no,
all right.
That was perfect. That was great for our first running of this graphics. And Xander Zone says that he loves the new graphics. And got someone in chat saying, "Hello, I am the number 22. My name is different spelling of Ryan."
What did I say? Oh, I see what okay, yep. Gotcha. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Ryan Gartzen. That one's going to be tough. I'll try my absolute best. We don't have a full outlap tonight. That's right. We are going to be on the short outlap, and already 2x2 Noah's Ark formation. These drivers are going to be getting ready here to go green. As we have it here, it is going to be Ricardo Rivera on pole position with Mattia Porta in P2. I am Mike Noss in the booth. Joined with me tonight is going to be Sagar Bakshi as we get ready to approach the line here. And go green is the calm before the storm, of course. Imola, a longer run down as we get ready here and approach the line.
It may be Noah's Ark formation, but hopefully there are no floods at Aqua Minerale on lap 1.
Green, green, green now as we go down to the first chicane. It's a pretty dead even heat up at the front, and 2x2 all the way through the pack as it stands. Looks like it's going to be a melee now with Mattia Porta on the outside. It'll turn to the inside. If he's not lucky, he's tagged, though, is Jake Wells, causing a bit of a bumper jam now in the middle of the track, and it's going to be everybody weaving every which way. Which way do you zig? Which way do you zag? Everyone making it through with relative ease. A bit more contact, though, as Raymond Pierce, I think, gets checked up there. No, that was Professor Chronotis, I think, checking up or getting by Giovanni Wee as he hit Ryan Gartzen, who fell down, gets hip checked though through the side as they head on now down to the back hairpin. Looking to the inside though, the Lamborghini getting very elbows out. There's a BMW rejoining the track in a very, very poor method, sends it 3 wide. Kyle Hirsch looking to try to gain some advantage as he does. Dan Brace though, who started up towards the top, rejoining in a very unfavorable manner side by side through Piratella, and it's going to be every man for himself at this stage. Oh, more contact. 3 wide just briefly.
It looked like that might have been Wells, Moss, and Fallas potentially on a start. Oh, no. And there goes our man Ryan, spun around at Aqua Minerale, holding the brakes in an awkward position. Hopefully everybody can avoid him, and unfortunately not everybody. As I think that's Dan Bryce as he gets collected in that, the 746.
It was Julius Tan getting collected. Dan Brace causing that incident just with a little bit too much aggression there, and that he will be watching the replay of that one and surely regretting that. Matias Porta, though, has taken the lead from Ricardo Rivera and seems to be holding it at the moment, and they've pulled a 2.8 second gap already to Kuza Terekov next to them. And it's going to be now just about working together, extending that gap, and allowing Phil Cryotheus to try to battle with Terekov.
More action behind Christian Julian, and Kerbal getting side by side down the front stretch here.
This is going to be Chronotis, though, and Ryan, though, side by side. Ryan gets pushed off the track there briefly. He's going to rejoin. He feels that he was rightfully held that position, but is going to be Kyle Hirsch slipping on through like a fish. Lovely job there. Absolutely gaining 2 positions off of nothing, and Phil Cryotheus off into the side now, into the gutter, and Kyle 3 positions within 2 corners. He is going to be walking away smiling. Phil Cryotheus, though, not the same story.
Looking back just a little bit, we got the Lexuses battling it out side by side right now. Rejoin on the track, the 823, and that'll be K Moss gets in front of Julian and Cryotheus. You're absolutely right, and Kerbal falls back one more.
Ooh, another hip check there from the Lexus onto, I think that was going to be the Ferrari of Philip Lee that we're looking at currently. Still running side by side, heading down towards a quarter complex you're not necessarily going to want to be side by side, and it's going to be every sort of bit of grip that you can muster through that corner to get the power down in time, and it seems everyone does give each other space. Now, one driver that I'm looking at here is Jake Wells, and holy smokes, that was really loud. There's bumping and banging all the way through. Christian Julian is off onto the side there. There's a stranded Lexus as everybody makes their way through. The battling rages on, and I certainly need gifted 10 subs. That deserves to be loud. My goodness, Mason Pirachowski, absolute legend.
Way to make it rain here tonight. Thank you so much for all that subs. Love and support.
Still,
given 10 subs.
Still, thank you, though.
That's amazing.
That was just very loud.
And support. He'll take him back if you want him to, I bet.
No. Thank you, Mason, for your support. Side by side, Jake Terrell and Devin Anthony. All the way through now, down to the first chicane. It should be the advantage here for the Lamborghini, although he might have used his advantage too much. There's contact ahead and contact behind. It seems that everybody is struggling up at the front here, and it's going to be just a game of survival right now. There's still 40 minutes on the clock, and they're driving like it's the last lap of the championship.
And just looking ahead at Devin Anthony right now in the Noobs R Us car, number 52, he's doing a lot of work under braking on the rest of the field, and I'm interested to see how that keeps on progressing over this 40-minute race that we have going for us right now, just a little over 40 minutes. But that deep braking that Mustang has is going to be a trick up his sleeve, to say the least, going out into the final 2-3 corners.
It certainly is. Unfortunately, we just missed it, but it seems that Ryan Gartson has made a move onto Raymond Pierce, making his way through the field, up 6 positions so far for the number 22. And now up next on his agenda is going to be Hirsch. It's going to be a potential podium here on the cards if this Lamborghini can keep everything together. It is, of course, the sort of home soil for Lamborghini. Once, I guess, the home soil. Now it is home in the Rhineland, of course.
See position gains really quickly. Wow, a lot of shaking and baking going on for the position gained. We have the 1-2-1 of Kyle Hirsch. He's gained 9 positions so far, but that's nothing compared to Jace Wright, his 10 positions gained. And Neil Kerbal with 13 positions gained overall in the 395 up into 15th place. So they've got a lot of things going for some of these drivers and a lot of ground to be made up by some of these other drivers.
Certainly is. This is a great view of the Lamborghini of Curtis Rustin from the front bumper, front splitter of Patrick Dubois into the second chicane now. Trying to find an advantage. You can get it overtaken to Tosa if you find the inside line. It's going to be a bit too far back, though, right now for Patrick Dubois. Has to hold off, bide his time, and wait. You can see that next to everybody's name on the left-hand side, there's that number 1. That means that those drivers need to make a pit stop still, but Jake Wells, he's a green number plate next to his name. That means he's good to go to the end, so he's on a bit of an alternate strategy. He's had after that incident at the start, maybe came in for the repairs. Seems that there was a bit of damage, 56 seconds spent stationary, but overall is going to be back out on track and making up time in clean air.
And we'll keep an eye on Jake Wells and his lap times to see how far he is able to jump in front of the rest of the field. And obviously, we'll keep an eye on all of this data so you don't have to at home. But the entertainment still rages on with this Porsche chasing down at Mercedes up in front.
And Richard Gola using all of the curb and some there does keep it valid. Eric Gakassian, though, feeling the pressure from behind at the moment, now into the Ravatsas. The opportunity could be there for the Porsche. It's known for its nimble braking. It doesn't quite take the opportunity. As we can pop back now onto the back cam of Eric and see what it's like from that pressure. The Porsche, not necessarily known for its straight line speed, but with a slipstream, it certainly will help, and it is punchy out of the corners. You can see it's going to be gaining, and gaining. But once they reach the top end, is it going to be able to continue? He's going to have to pull out of the slipstream now, look to the inside. It's going to be the inside opportunity for the likes of Richard Gola. He backs out, though. Says, nope, I will have it next time around. Eric Gakassian's actually a little bit late there, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue.
And there was a Mustang coming out of the pits right there, right in front of Ryan Gardzin and Kyle Hirsch, as they were almost side by side going into the first chicane. And they're still nose to tail right now. And this battle is not over yet. Despite Ryan having that damage early on, he is raging war.
Charging Bull, seeing red at the moment, and up ahead of him is going to be Austin Carter. Can he find any opportunities now into the Sector 3, or rather, Sector 2 as we have it now. So it's going to be looking at it from a different camera angle, but regardless, into the Tosa hairpin. Not finding anything yet. The middle sector is going to be a tough opportunity to make anything work. You're more going to be trying to find it on that start-finish straight. Unless you are, well, one of these drivers. They seem to be scrapping away as up ahead there. That's going to be Professor Carnota's bumping and banging through. Jace Wright gets contacted. Giovanni Weiss slips on through like it was absolutely nothing. Curtis Rustin also joining the party. Professor Carnota's rejoins there in front of Jace Wright. Patrick Dubois looks like he's going to get 2 for 1 here. Has the outside line, but he has the momentum and he gets it done. That's going to be Jace Wright falling backwards. Everybody else making it through.
Oh, and that Mustang super deep on the brakes there going into the final Rivazza. And man, dipped a wheel off into the gravel. And that almost was a fatal flaw for them, but wanted to make opportunity happen there when they saw the other cars get into a little bit of an accident that gave up some free position. So good driving from that person up ahead.
Oh, and a lunge from the Porsche behind. Gola is all over there, rubbing a hole in the carbon fiber of Eric Gakassian. Hasn't find... Oh, and that is going to be a rallying Mustang. Patrick Dubois has gone a little bit too deep there, and seems in front of him is going to be Jake Wells, down a lap, but making up ground more and more every lap. A pit stop here at Imola is absolutely brutal. It's 72% of your lap when you take damage. That's only going to be about 101, or what is it? It's about 73 seconds in total, but that's, again, 72% of the lap, and that's why it looks like Jake is as far behind as he is, but he's actually a bit more than you would think when it comes to the actual pit stop phases.
Wow, that is an interesting piece of data. I was not aware of going into this. That's a lot of time to be taking off of your laps overall, and that will send you further and further back. And of course, I gave Patrick Dubois the commentator's curse as we see this battle go side by side. We've got this on the inside line, the Porsche into the top of the hill chicane, and they're going to make this happen cleanly, going over sausage. Each of them, oh my goodness, there's a little bit of argy-bargy elbows out from Eric Gokiskani, excuse me, and Jace Wright. No, that's Gola, and it's 2x2 headed down the hill towards Rivazza, and wow, everybody's going to be neat and tidy on this one, and who goes forward? That's going to be Gokiskani on the inside, taking it away, but that Ferrari's got its elbows out, trying to bump that Porsche out of the way, but Gola holds on to that position coming down the front straight.
Sagar, you just lost your job.
I know.
Unfortunate.
I said that 3 different names 3 different times.
The boss will not be happy. Eric the Boss Gakassian gets sent on by Richard Gola, but he is in the gravel trap himself now. Going to lose 2 positions just for that little mistake. And behind him, Jace Wright, hawking in that rearview mirror. He's looking for the opportunity into the Villeneuve chicane. He's going to find it, goes for it fully, gets ahead, but not enough as Eric runs him wide. But that allows the likes of Jake Wells through, even though he is, again, on that previous lap. He says, thank you very much. I will use that to move forward. And that basically shows that when rather, everybody does have their pit stops. Jake Wells is going to be coming out in around presumably about 14, 13, which is not terrible, all things considered. He was at the back of the grid at one point in time.
Wow, shaking and baking. I want to take a look at Jake's lap times. He's knocking down 43 ones right now. So he's about a second to almost 2 seconds quicker than the cars around him, at least on the standings. But according to the guys that he's around right now, he's only doing about half a second, 0.6 better. But he's making opportunities happen for himself. I think he really learned from that first lap incident and knows that he needs to keep his nose clean, no puns intended.
Certainly does. Jace right now. Will he have a look into the Ravatzas? No, he's going to keep it calm at the moment down onto the curbs there. He's going to run a bit wide on exit. Gets a little bit loose, in fact, trying to correct it. A little bit too much steering input added. Gets a poor exit onto the straight, and you're going to see Eric here walk away smiling for now, but the slipstream effect will eventually come in once we reach about a little bit more than this, actually. We got a pretty poor exit there for Jace Wright. And that V6 Ferrari engine is going to be working quite hard, but Richard Gola looking to make moves as well. The Porsche doesn't see an opportunity, and he backs out of it for now. Still 32 minutes and 21 seconds on the clock. Plenty of time for anyone to make a mistake.
32 minutes is on the clock, but I don't think the drivers are quite aware of that based on how many elbows we've seen go out this early on. Jace Wright chasing down Gokasian.
Gokasian, yes. Close enough.
Gokasian. Chasing down Gokasian early on in this, and in the background, Jake Terrell is only 0.2 back from Phil Lee, and actually those positions get inverted. Phil Lee goes back, Jake Terrell goes forward, and that's the battle for 15th and 16th place. The 505 falling back to the 463.
Patrick Dubois drops it all on his lonesome there. Very unfortunate. He falls off the saddle, and the Mustang is left stranded alone there. Unfortunate.
At least he's holding the brakes, waiting for the entire field to go by before he gets it going again and in the right direction. He is rolling now, so good on him for that.
Anthony Kelly sees a chance to the outside now through Aqua Minerale, though it isn't going to be working out. Maybe we'll set himself up, though, for an exit into Alta. Gets a great launch, but the Mustang is so incredibly wide. He covers the inside, but moves to the racing line. The Ferrari doesn't quite adjust in time there to make a move. A little bit deep there for everybody, but it's just sort of the nature of taking that corner incorrectly. Julius Tan trying to see what he can get done as well. Behind there is going to be for P20. At the moment, the Lamborghini we've seen has promise, but has only gained 2 positions thus far. Our biggest gainer tonight, though, overall, is going to be Jake Terrell. 18 positions thus far.
Wow, that's a whole lot of gains to be had in just a few laps. These drivers have done only 8 laps on the clock, but we're going to have a lot more left to go for this battle that rages on into the evening.
Indeed, Richard Gola also with a battle with Jace Wright and Eric behind. We'll check back in on that. This is Giovanni Wee, though, in the middle of the track. Everybody not quite finding any opportunities just yet. This will be bold, though, if we head up the hill into Piratella. Richard Gola is certainly thinking about it. Eric Gakasi and isn't going to be too welcome. He does leave the door open, but it's certainly going to close to the apex. The Porsche, though, lovely maneuver as he gets by Eric Gakasi without too much of an issue, and that's also going to compromise Eric's run, now allowing Jace right through. Excellent work there from the Porsche, and Eric is really left, kind of out of luck.
And just to keep everybody up to date, in the battle for 19th and 20th between Austin Carter and Julius Tan, those positions have gotten inverted. It looks like Tan had some issues getting over one of the chicanes, and Carter took advantage and is now going to be able to chase down Anthony Kelly in 18th place.
And then it's going to be just about lapping for them at the moment. It'll be interesting to see when strategy starts coming into play. It's certainly a bit early right now. We have seen a few pit stops, actually, as Patrick Dubois comes into pit lane. No surprise there. That'll be to repair the damage that he picked up from himself, as we often have that issue in life, but that's... It's just a different stream. Time for a different stream. Either way, battles for Giovanni Wee and Raymond Pierce as they continue on their fight, but it is just about, again, survival right now in the middle of the game and getting towards that pit phase where they can try to find a little bit more of a difference from each other.
100%. And during this race, we're going to see all the drivers eventually fall to where they're supposed to be. Like this battle between Austin Carter and Anthony Kelly, battle for 18th and 19th, I was just talking about. Anthony Kelly's gained 6 positions overall, but he's almost a second a lap slower. Okay, now he's about 2/10 slower than Carter this lap around. So eventually that gap's going to come down within the next 3 or 2 laps to go. So
Indeed.
These battles will just bring everybody together and closer.
And this is Giovanni Wee really piling the pressure. And by the way, chat, in case I forgot to say, which I know I did, exclamation mark replays, or no, it's exclamation mark clip, exclamation mark clips. You can get a clip going on here, and it might be one right now as we see Giovanni Wee getting the overtake done onto Raymond Pierce, but he is again in too deep. And Raymond, he is on his best behavior there, sees the very aggressive offense and just really takes the line that he wants, drives through it, and no issues found at the moment. But that is going to be Curtis Rustin behind, battling alongside now. He has welcomed himself into the party.
And Gola and Gokasan.
Gukasian.
Gukasian. 11th, 12th, 13th. That battle's really close. They're all within a couple tenths of each other, but this battle right now, the battle of the BMWs, is really feisty.
Side by side now down to the Tamburillo chicane. Giovanni Wee has the inside line on entry, but he'll turn to the out for exit. He gets it fully sent though, and it is going to be job done. Raymond Pierce not fighting that one too hard, and Curtis Rustin behind, trying to find an opportunity himself. Now into the second chicane. He kicks up a little gravel on exit there. Looks for it, but is going to be a little bit too far behind to make it work.
And Gola did get past Gokasian now, and Gokasian falling back to Neil Kerbal, excuse me. And then they invert positions one more time, just about a tenth separating these two drivers, going into Variante Villeneuve and headed towards Tosa now uphill.
Indeed. I wonder if that clip's working. I hope it is. Curtis Rustin also on the charge. I hope we didn't break anything.
Do you have StreamerBot open?
Yes.
Okay.
But,
it should work.
We'll figure it out.
Yes, sir.
Curtis Rustin here making his way through. Julius Tan is off, unfortunately.
No.
Why don't we use our new replay feature and find out exactly what happened? Oh my goodness. Okay, now we will. As we head on back, and we can see it is already stranded. Well, it's a little bit too late now. And also, did it work? It didn't work. Wait, we're already in the replay? No, it did work. It did work. Instant replay, chat. Look at that.
Instant replay.
You probably shouldn't be up, but that's okay. Neither should I. Neither here nor there. We'll figure it out later.
Only the most
and we're
professional of streams.
Gotta
but
love
we have
new
plenty
tech.
of time to figure this out. We've got another 25 minutes left, almost 26 minutes left. But these battles are still so close. There's not a group of individuals that are more than a second away from each other. And especially with these pit stops shaking things up, people are just out of position that they would normally be in. Forcing them to take that early pit stop is detrimental to their strategy, or the most beneficial. Time will just tell us what it was for them. Like Jake Wells is one that we're still keeping an eye on, knocking down 42 ones right now. He is blazing with the best of them.
Yeah, basically on pace with our current leader of Ricardo Rivera. Here's the battle between the three drivers. That's going to be Jake Terrell, Neil Kerbal, and Eric the Boss Kakasi. And Eric leading this charge at the moment. It is going to be Neil Kerbal in that Sim Sense Lexus that almost gets a big hole punched into it there from the, Lamborghini, as that wouldn't quite be what the aerodynamicists had in mind. Thankfully, the brakes there are quite on point for the Fuchs competition car of Jake. Now up at a Piratella, Neil trying to gain as much as he can. And we hop onto the...
a great job of sticking underneath that wing here, and this is where the Lexus is really going to struggle through Aqua Minerale. It's okay in the twisty bits, but when you have two deep compression zones like that, the Lexus does not like that, and Gukasian just drives away with it. And yes, I pronounced it right for the first time this stream.
Congratulations, you nailed it. Oh, Eric, that's going to be Neil getting very loose on exit. A bit too much curb for the Lexus is something I didn't think I'd be saying tonight, but it is unfortunately the reality. Briefly for Neil, he almost finds himself in the gutter. He is going to keep it clean for now. Deep, though, goes all the drivers. The Lexus wiggling again on exit as he struggles to lay that power down. The big old V8 in front of the Lexus engine is going to be just a little too much to handle, and Eric trying to gain as much as he can on the straight, but under threat from Neil behind. Now in the drag race to the first chicane. Who's going to have it? It's going to be the outside line picked for Eric. Now darting to the inside for the entry. Neil Kerbal is certainly gone into the gravel.
Oh man, someone called it already in chat. It wasn't even a commentator's curse. Near curb all. I can see it happening right before my very eyes. But Curtis Rustin, just a quick update, headed off into the pits, and so did the man Camacho. So both of them serving their mandatory pits right now, and will come out into traffic.
Also side by side here between Kay Moss and Christian Julian. Julian not able to fend it off for now. They are on the other side of the track of Eric. Already made their pit stop for right now, and they are battling their way onto the start-finish straight. It seems that it is going to be the pit stop now, though, for Julian. And Moss is in a great position right now when it comes to overall positions. Well, not just yet. Neil Gravel, yeah, that's pretty funny. Also,
oh wow, look at the exit speed of that Lambo. Holy smokes, this is going to be a nice big run. Does that Merc have the legs to stretch it to avoid being attacked by that bull? And it does, and a little bit of shake from Terrell going over that curb. And you can see Neil in the background still fighting with those curbs that he's named after. But he's still within grabbing distance of the two drivers up ahead, but not where he really wants to be right now. He was in that sandwich, and now he's caught himself on the outside.
And Jake here is the boss is fighting for his life out here. He really is. He's putting the work in, clearly has practiced a little bit, though he still needs to make his stop just like the drivers around him. He's running quite high in positions at the moment, though. Behind that, it seems that, well, really, this is the closest battle on track currently. Seems the drivers have decided for that alternate strategy choice as we have approached the halfway mark, or a little surpassed it, in fact. This race absolutely flying on by.
And also starting to get in touch with lap traffic, as that's Devin Anthony in front of them, if I'm not mistaken. So seeing how they can negotiate blue markers. Holy Toledo, going into the chicane. That was almost certain death. I bet that they weren't expecting them to slow down that much, that of Anthony. And they were able to negotiate it safely, but just barely by the skin of their teeth. Wow.
Yeah, the Lamborghini a little bit late there, but manages to get it locked up just in the nick of time. Behind that, we have our Ford also having a bit of a moment. Neil Kerbal that's Devin Anthony behind, and also getting blue flag now side by side through Aqua Minerale is never where you want to be. And around the outside, though, goes Jake Terrell. He's trying to make it work, and he is going to, or is he? The Mercedes is going to have the grunt down towards the high line now for the Variante Alta, looking at the brakes side by side all the way in. The Lamborghini takes it. Jake Terrell, an excellent and aggressive fight. But again, racing hard is still racing side by side between those two drivers, although that again is a blue flag. Excellent work there for Jake Terrell.
And Kerbal in the background, we just got a glimpse of it in the background, was doing a great job of navigating that Mustang also. And a couple of pits came in too. So Keeley has come in. Chronotis is out of the pits at this point. Rustin, Moss, and Hirsch have all taken their pit stops. And so is Porta. Excuse me. So one of the top leaders of this race has taken their mandatory pit, throwing down the fastest lap of the race of 141.3.
Superb. Carter Rivera also not coming in just yet. Mattia Porta, we'll see. Oh, and that's going to be the back end gone for Neil Kerbal in the blink of an eye. You blink and you miss it. I did. I know that. Let's go back and check out that replay. Into the first chicane is going to be Neil Kerbal. He's going to be a little too interesting. I don't even know what to say. Just looked like he drove there.
He drove there, yeah. Just kept his foot in it, hoping to find some grip on the outside on the green stuff. And no, he found himself in some sand. And then once you do that, one wheel spins, the other one is just spinning freely. And that'll be, yes, gravel be his name.
That's going to be one that's hard to live down for Neil Kerbal and Neil, yeah, Gravel. This is very unfortunate for him tonight. The newest. Welcome to the admin team, Neil.
Welcome to being picked on while you're not here to defend yourself, it seems. As I'm not even going to try it this time. Someone comes out of the pits.
Mr. Gakassian out of pit lane.
That's right.
You have it. You got it.
I'm afraid now. He's my boss and everything. I can't upset the boss man any more than I already have. He's going to look back at the clips and be disappointed.
We'll give him his contractually obliged screen time. Anyways, we'll move on now and move on to Professor Chronotis ahead. Curtis Rustin is on the defense at the moment as Professor Chronotis is trying to find his back bumper.
Yeah, and Chronotis just out of the pits that last lap, so we'll have to see what the deltas are going to be like going into the next one, but it seems to be that Chronotis has the pace, about 3/10 in hand on Rustin.
Joe Fias under threat from Mattia Porta. I hope there isn't too much of a battle that goes on here, as this isn't necessarily for position. It technically is, although Joe Fias has yet to come into pit lane. Holds Mattia Porta up, though, into the first chicane. Now, this could be what Ricardo Rivera needs. He gets him done, though, heading towards the second, as this isn't going to be too much of a fight, or is it? The Ford backs out.
Quick pit lane update. We've got Kerbal, Wright, and Terrell all into the pits right now, losing their positions, but we've got a lot of people still not taking their mandated pit, so still going to jumble up the order in a little bit of time.
Joe currently looking for anything he can find at the moment. Again, hasn't made his pit stop yet, and is going to be falling back, presumably towards, somewhere around where Jake Wells is. I thought he was going to be a bit higher up when he came into the pits. There's still a few drivers ahead of him. We're about to overtake Neil, potentially. He's actually on exit now. Side by side, though, with Anthony Camacho goes Jake Wells, and this is for overall position, so Anthony isn't going to let this go necessarily, although I don't think he's going to have much of a choice. The overspeed for the McLaren is there. Is the lunge going to be there, though, for the Porsche? No, he stays a little calm for now, and is just going to bide his time and wait.
Yeah, definitely biding his time, potentially making a move if he could stay close, like you said, at Totsa or Aqua Minerale is where the Porsche is really going to be able to shake things down, closing that distance down in the twisty bits. But he's got to keep the pressure on, and he's not doing a good job of it right now. The big gap here at Tosa. Can he close it down a little bit more as they head down to Aqua Minerale? I don't think so. I think this is going to be Jake Wells' job. Done.
Yeah, it will be. Now, can Anthony really stick with him for a while and maybe gain some advantage in the long run? That could be fairly advantageous, as 3.6 seconds up the road is Neil Kerbal. So there's potential position on the line still for Anthony, if he can really stick with it. Use Jake in the slipstream as he punches a big ol' hole down that start-finish straight and makes Anthony's life just that little bit easier.
And I see Wee and Pierce have both gone into the pits as well, so they're dropping down 10 and 11th position right now. I think Rustin and Chronotis will be the next to pass them. And they're out of the pit lane right now, actually, so maybe not even getting passed by Rustin and Chronotis, but it will be close, I think, on pit lane exit.
Certainly is. 3.4 seconds.
Certainly is.
These two drivers within 4/10 as they came out side by side in unison, but behind them, Professor Chronotis putting the pressure onto Rustin. Are they going to work together to maybe gain some positions in the long run or fight it out in the short? Let's see what Chronotis has in mind. Does he smell blood in the water? It seems he might. The Lamborghini's a little bit loose. Chronotis, though, moves to the normal driving line. You're certainly not going to be finding an overtake on the outside, as there is plenty of gravel and camber there, but the lovely racing line taking Chronotis will have the inside line in the drag now down towards Piratella. He looks for the move to the inside. He's going to have the full confidence, and he does. Sticks it alongside the car, wiggles, though, gets back onto the throttle to try to continue the momentum on through. It's going to be pretty good so far, but now around the outside as he goes for it onto the rough stuff, and that isn't quite going to do it. Professor Chronotis has to work again, heading up towards Alta. Looks to the inside again. It's going to be a wide open door, and he still backs out even though the barn door was there.
You know, catching is one thing and passing is another. I know it's a cliche, but that was the epitome of that exact phrase and saying, because half a second in hand for Chronotis, couldn't get past Rustin, even though he was alongside, at least hub to hub in my eyes, and just couldn't do it. He was there and just had a little bit of a mishap here for Jake Terrell, and he's going to lose a lot of that hard work that he had done.
Let's see what has happened. Jake Terrell looks like an unforced error, and it is going to be just a bit too much throttle, as he actually punched the throttle there way too early into the corner, spins his tires up on the sausage curb, and has to do the rejoin of shame, but thankfully it doesn't get in anyone's way.
Wow, Cronotis and Rustin again. We're just a tenth apart coming down the front straight, and then that gap opens up to nearly a second one more time. Absolutely insane. And Potts Weaver is about 4/10 back from Mr. Lombardo in the battle for 23rd and 24th. We've got a lot of action still left to go with 13 and a half minutes left on the clock, everybody.
Ooh, the outside line for Potts Weaver onto the entry. It'll turn to the inside on Audi, clobbers the curb and flies high into the side there of Anthony Lombardo, and big damage to be had for both McLarens involved, and really Anthony Kelly is the only one to benefit from that. We can go back and catch a quick little replay. Oh, it didn't work. Hold up. There we go. No, it didn't work. Okay, that's fine. We won't catch the replay. I've found a mistake with it. Oh, we will. Yes, we will. It worked. Lovely. The Trackalicious instant replay. Are we on the right thing? No, I don't think we are. I hit the wrong thing. That's okay. Back to the action, folks. Gotta love technology.
And it looks like Austin Carter's now into the pits, as well as, who else did I see? So K Moss is going to go forward. Kyle Hirsch is going to go forward. The only few people that have left to take their pits are going to be Joe Fallis, Phil Lee, and Ricardo Rivera, our race leader in P1, driving that 787 McLaren.
Here is Jace Wright in the car guy racing, not the Fuchsia competition this time. Gonna gain a position for free over Carter as Austin is still in pit lane. The slipstream's had here for the Ferrari, but it seems it's gonna be a bit too far back. Thinks about making a look to the outside, but it's gonna be a little too much grass to be had there. Jace Wright on for a long picnic, and it seems he has really found the kitty litter and a safe rejoin, thankfully.
And Kyle Hirsch lost a couple positions as he was caught at the second chicane. That was Variante Villeneuve. And he lost at least 2 positions getting past, and he's in 8th place now, was in 6th place, and he's not going to be pleased with himself after those mistakes.
Certainly won't. And up at the front, interestingly here, Matthias Porter still lapping in those very high lap times, quicker than Ricardo Rivera, and the gap, 69 seconds. I wonder if Ricardo is going to come out in the lead here. It seems that maybe Mattia has gotten held up. It'll be very close, though, as we're seeing roughly 70-plus seconds, or 70-ish seconds. It's going to be a very, very tight battle out of pit lane, but it might be a couple seconds in favor of even Mattia. I'm not sure in this contact. Joe Fias into the back bumper of Philip Lee, and we're going to catch a quick replay and see exactly what transpired here. So we bounce back. And this is going to be into the first chicane. Joe Fias on the back bumper in the Ford Mustang. You can already see lumbering into the corner and getting tagged by a brick there is Philip Lee. And he is spun to the side there and left spent like a spud. The Irishman, not much to do.
Keeping an eye, Fallis is still close to the number 3 position. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one. The driver of the 627 doing a good job. And then we've got Wee chasing down Pierce, and Cronotis chasing down Rustin still. That battle's still not over. He's not giving up on it, but making sure he wants to make this a very clean battle, it seems.
And you can see a little bit deep for Cronotis. He's getting a bit excited. Maybe seeing a little bit more red than you would expect. Well, we can certainly see that high visibility green that he is wearing on that livery, and everybody on track can. Doesn't matter where you're at. In fact, you can see it from outer space.
More action behind to Jake Tyrell chasing down Jake Wells, the battle of the Jakes. And, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. The man in 15th place chasing down Jace Wright right now.
Yeah, Mr. Eric Akassian, also Terekov is what you're looking for on the other Kuzia Terekov. Giovanni Wee, though, is currently battling with Raymond Price. And the first Ravazza, the opening could potentially be there. The defensive line, though, is not being held. And Giovanni, he is going to say enough's enough for now, trying to get the better exit on to the start-finish straight. I don't think he will, though. Took a little bit of a compromised line. Gets a longer exit, though, which will give him the charge. He'll also have the slipstream. We're in equal machinery now, and it seems the advantage is here for the team WRT. Gets fully alongside now onto the final corner. A little bit of almost side swiping, not quite, though. as the inside line for the first bit is going to be to Giovanni. Raymond Price to the outside. He's going to go for the switchback now, but he is going to just give it up immediately, it seems. No, but deep goes Giovanni Wee. The outside line and the exit. Potential there for Raymond Price, but doesn't get the opportunity either. Behind Chronotis, you can see him having a battle of his own with the likes of Rustin, but they are left to their own devices for the time being, and Giovanni Wee, he holds on.
Mad respect between those two drivers to stay so close. That's Raymond Pierce and Giovanni Wee. Unbelievable respect to have that much trust in another person while you're going at full speed through a kink like that. Great heads-up display.
Indeed. This is Eric Gakassian getting overtaken by Jake Wells, as he's going to be left to Jake Terrell's devices. If he has any sort of plans moving forward, we will certainly be seeing. Also up ahead, Professor Kenotis still finding the Lamborghini. A bit of a thorn in the side at the moment, but that's going to be a very poor exit for the Lamborghini. You can see he slams the door shut to the inside. Kenotis with the Ferrari is going to have the line, though. It's going to open the corner up very early, goes deep, and that's going to potentially allow the Lamborghini to fight back to the outside. Now the Lamborghini has the drive. Rustin side by side down towards the Ravatsas. Who's going to have it? It should be the advantage for the likes of Curtis, and it is Professor Chronotis trying to switch back though and get the better exit, and he does. Superb battling between these two. Clobbers the curb though, goes for the Mile High Club. Curtis Rustin holds the position and is going to run away now down the straight.
Unbelievable combatants here. That was amazing driving from both of these displays, going through three different complexes, three absolutely different corners, and not negotiating them side by side, front to back, nose to tail even. And then unfortunately having that little hop, skip, and a jump over the curb was not the way he wanted to hold that position, and it didn't let him even keep that gap that he was trying to go for.
No, not quite. A little bit of maybe brawn over brains in that move, but regardless, Chronotis, he is the professor, has studied it thoroughly. Unfortunately, this time it was the one that got away. Behind that, Jace Wright is going to have a great opportunity in the easiest overtake of his life as Richard Gola hands it to him with both hands wide open. And that is a mistake to be had there. Also, and speaking of mistakes, Eric Gakassian spent around in the final chicane, it seems. Let's go back and take a look at what happened here.
Yeah, Gakassian and Terrell just get into it with each other, going into that second chicane side by side on entry, and then just getting closed down on a little bit too hard, and Gakassian has nowhere to go.
Very unfortunate. That one will certainly be left to the steward's devices in a very safe region. Oh, wait, no. Well, he's done it again. Let's go back, folks. Oh, no, I think he just got hit. I don't know. Let's see what happened in the final corner now, and it looks like it's into Tosa, it seems, and that's a fully unforced error for Eric, and it's a bad day gone worse, unfortunately, for him. Chronotis, though, slipstream to be had onto Curtis Rustin. These two back at it again. It's deja vu into the first corner. Who is going to win this time? The Lamborghini to the outside. Professor Chronotis to the inside. He's going to go nice and firmly on the line this time. No need to go deep. And it is going to be the position signed, sealed, and delivered. Professor Chronotis needs to hang on, though, as the rope is getting thinner and thinner now with Curtis Rustin climbing behind. He holds on for the time being again, but it seems just a never-ending war between these two drivers, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
A battle of tug-of-war between these two, give and taking, just tenths between each other. Last lap around, there were just 4 tenths separating them, with Chronotis being just a little bit faster than Rustin. We can see Rustin chasing now, having that pace beneath him. Fastest laps for these drivers, Chronotis with a 43.2 and Rustin with a 44.0. Maybe Rustin's thinking that he can catch up now that he's got something to chase.
Yeah, that's always the sort of treadmill strategy. Put the bone on the end of the treadmill and allow your dog to go for a walk. Curtis, he's going to be trying the same strategy with the likes of Chronotis and seeing if that can be appetizing enough. This, though, a battle for the race lead. Ricardo Rivera came out ahead after the pit phase. We unfortunately missed it and how close they were, but they're currently separated by less than a second, and that's a back marker ahead of Joe Fias. He's going to need to be on his best behavior if he doesn't want to impede this lead battle, and Ricardo Rivera is hoping and praying right now. Aqua Minerale is not the place that you want to be catching a back marker. It's somebody has to yield. Joe Fias, very respectful driving there from him. He allows both drivers through to not get in the way. That is terrifying to be in that position for him in that Ford.
Great awareness for a blue marker or back marker to be aware that the two drivers ahead are leading out. Oh my goodness. I thought that was going to be an accident waiting to happen, but no, that's just how much skill these two drivers have. This is Porta on the nose chasing down Rivera, just 5/10 ahead, half a second. And Porta's still holding on to this fastest lap, that 141.4 to Rivera's 141.8. And let's see how well he can close down this gap. But we've seen a lot of people try to catch and do so, but then making that pass happen cleanly, that's where the challenge really lies.
Absolutely. Porta got a very smooth exit out of the final corner. It didn't get him quite as much punch as I would have expected. I wonder if there's more downforce being ran for the likes of Porta versus Ricardo. Into the first chicane, you're going to be seeing this advantage if there is one. But no, Mattia Porta, very calm, cool, and collected, biding his time, but he's running out of time. It's going to become his enemy here soon enough.
Yeah, running out of time and almost ran out of real estate there at the exit of the first chicane, but did well to stay on track. And Aqua Minerale is another place where you see that deep aero package play dividends, to where if he was running higher downforce, really keeping him glued to the track to use as much of that track as possible, because there's a lot of runoff there that a lot of people can use, and that double braking zone really is beneficial for those that are willing to carry that package.
Absolutely, and it will reward drivers for their confidence. Who is the more confident for right now? Overtaking's fairly difficult on Imola. It's not necessarily the toughest track, but it's not the easiest either. This isn't your Spa-Francorchamps, or it's not going to be your Hungaroring either, which we've seen in the past. It's more, or even your Red Bull Ring, which we saw last week. It's going to be a lot easier than Red Bull Ring, harder than Spa, somewhere falling in the middle. The first corner there was both drivers really racking up their frequent flyer miles. They're clambering over the corners and trying their best mountain climbing impressions. Seems to be working quite well. The McLaren, though, is going to send a quite jolting shock up your spine as Ricardo Rivera is looking to do, or excuse me, Mattia Porta is looking to do Ricardo Rivera. Trying to get the better exit now onto the start-finish straight. Both drivers using all of the track there. And again, Ricardo Rivera just seems to have the straight line speed, but no, this time gaining is Mattia Porta. Is he gaining enough? This is his last real big opportunity into the first chicane. He's going to need every inch of track that he can find. Looks for it to the outside. It's going to turn to the inside if he can hang on long enough. He can't, though. Ricardo Rivera places himself in the right position for the defense. Now onto the exit for the second part of this really complex puzzle ahead of them. This final lap of the race. It's all or nothing here for these drivers. Ricardo Rivera, our previous race winner. Mattia Porta trying to make up any points that he can. Towards Tosa, that's another good opportunity gone. Behind him, firmly in the rearview mirror, Ricardo Rivera. You can see pulling slightly away. The gap is extending ever more and more, but now this is where we need to see that advantage from the aero of Mattia Porta. He needs to find the brakes towards Aqua Minerale and on the exit towards Alta. That'll be his best chance, maybe into the Ravazzas if he's lucky, but he's really running out of time here. About mile and a half left to go for these drivers to settle their score. Mattia Porta not gonna go for it just yet. Trying to get a better exit now. Hits a little too much curb on exit. Ricardo Rivera just has to keep it tidy for these last two corners, and he should have this down towards the Ravazzas. We see a little bit of fighting behind as well, but it is just these two at the front right now, and Ricardo Rivera goes slightly wide, but it's not going to matter enough. He comes through the final corner, pushes on to the start-finish straight, and will be taking his second win in a row here at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Guidino Ferrari. Ricardo Rivera wins. Mattia Porta 3/10 behind in a 23-second gap to the slip and slide here. That's going to be Potts Weaver, who picks up a drive-through penalty, by the way, for that we just saw. And Kuzaterikov coming home in third.
What a great finish to this race. 3:10 separating the lead driver from second place, and their last lap separated by less than a tenth. between the two of them. So really trying to close down as much as possible. But Ricardo Rivera being the slower one, really defensive going into the final one.
Yeah, and Ryan Gartson, lovely drive from him. 7 positions gained for the number 22 Lamborghini. Smashing through the field, sort of the unmentioned name that I would say. We mentioned him a little bit at the front, but towards the middle of the race, he kind of just made his way slowly through and seemed to win out on strategy alone, with Kevin Moss, or K Moss, behind him in the 823. Kyle Hirsch in 6th, Giovanni Wee coming home 7th, Raymond Pearson 8th, Professor Cronotis in 9th, and Curtis Rustin rounding out our top 10.
I gotta say, great recovery drive for Jake Wells, getting caught out on lap 1, if I'm not mistaken, and that 527 car made it all the way back up to P12 after taking that second lap pit stop. So great job from him.
Absolutely. And our biggest gainer tonight, Joe Fias, or excuse me, Jake Terrell, our biggest gainer tonight, 19 positions from P32. Great showing there for the Fuchs competition team, which we see the team principal in chat. So we head back to the booth. Welcome back, everybody. And we have it now. The race concluded. Seems that there are no drivers in the green room. You love to see it. We'll see if they show up. If not, it is what it is.
Oh,
but
man, that was
a battle.
More hectic than Red Bull Ring, to say the least. I knew we were in for some excitement, but that was more than I paid for. That's for sure. Lap 1 all the way through lap 8. Yeah. Wait, you didn't pay $5? Oh, man. Someone took my money. But what a great showing. All the way into lap 8, we saw elbows out, argy-bargy, whatever you want to call it. Just absolutely phenomenal racing. Settled down a little bit after lap 10, but then you saw the packs kind of slinky back and forth away and to each other. And I almost want to disagree with you for just a moment. I thought Red Bull Ring was going to be easier of a passing opportunity there because the track is so wide. It's a newer style race circuit, right? Imola is that old style gravel traps, a lot of sausage curbs, chicanes, things like that, to where if you get offline, you're going to lose a lot more time, I think, than you were at the Red Bull Ring, where you guys are going to basically, just slow each other down because there is so much racing room at some point.
Yeah, indeed. And again, a lovely conclusion, though, to the finish. Ricardo Rivera taking the win over Mattia Porta, and this seems like a championship that will be in contention. I feel like these two are going to be going a long way. Ricardo Rivera trying to get back the championship that slipped away from him last season, and it seems that he might be the horse at the front for right now, but is he going to keep that? As it stands, I think we are going to be ending the stream. I don't see anybody joining us here in the green room, so we will be calling it here. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us. Joe Fias, thank you for racing. I hope everyone... We're going to be rating as well. Silent Scotty, he's doing some American Truck Simulator, and he's just a great guy. Go check him out. Awesome streamer. But as we have it, I hope everyone has... Oh, have the Coke time? That's a great thing. Look, we're going to get it. It's just... it's already been redeemed. That's what mainly happened to it, but yes. Anyways, as we have it, we are going to be ending the stream off here. I've been Mike Noss. Thank you so much again, Sagar Bakshi, for joining me here tonight, and we will be back again. I think it is going to be Sunday for the next race, and until then, I hope everyone has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.